If I look at example number 4 on the homework where there are, it's lesson 4 homework practice solving equations with variables on each side, you still want to follow the same steps. Add or subtract the smaller variable to the other side and then solve the 1 or 2 step equation. If you happen to go through the problem and realize that you did not add or subtract the smaller of the two and you actually moved the bigger of the two, you will still or can still get the correct answer. The only thing that's going to happen within your work is that you are going to be dealing with a lot of negative signs. So just please don't make sure that you don't drop off those negative signs if you for some reason move the bigger variable of the two. So if we look at number 4 and I draw my line down the equal sign, I'm comparing a t to a 4t. Now, if a letter does not have a coefficient, we know that it's an automatic 1 or an imaginary 1. So if I look at 1t and 4t, I know that the smaller of the two is a 1. And so the opposite of a positive 1t is subtracting 1t. Remember, subtraction signs and negative signs are the exact same thing. The 1t's cancel. On the left side, I drop down a negative 27 equals 4t minus 1t is 3t. From here, it's a one-step equation. My variable's on the right side, so the opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing both sides by 3, and I get that t equals negative 9. If you look at number 5 and I draw my line down the equal sign, I'm comparing 7p to 6p. The smaller of the two is 6p, and since it's positive, I am going to subtract it to both sides. It will cancel out on the right side, and I can drop my equal sign down. 7p minus 6p is 1p, and I drop down the minus 5. This is also a one-step equation. Notice on the left side is where my variable is, and the number without the letter is the negative 5 or the minus 5. The opposite of minusing 5 is adding it to both sides. It will cancel out, and I get that 1p equals 13. Since there's a coefficient of 1 in front of my variable, my equation is solved. You could divide both sides by 1, but you would still get that p is equal to 13. Let's see what I want to do next. Let's look at number 7. Okay. If I draw my line down the equal sign, I'm comparing a negative 5h and an imaginary 1h. Now, what one's smaller? The negative 5h, so the opposite of negative 5h is adding it to both sides, or a positive 5h. So I'm going to add 5h to both sides. It's going to cancel on my left side, and I'm going to drop down the 12 equals 6h plus 6. From here, this is a two-step equation, so we want to get rid of the number without the letter. So subtract 6 on both sides. It's going to disappear. 12 minus 6 is 6 equals 6h. And then my last step would be to divide both sides by 6. And I am going to get that 1 is equal to h. If we look at problem number 8, and I draw my line down the equal sign, I'm comparing a negative 7f and an imaginary 1f. The smaller of the two is the negative 7f, so I am going to add it to both sides. It cancels on my left, and I drop down my 4 equals 1f plus 7f is 8f, and I drop down the minus 12. This is a two-step equation, so let's add 12 to both sides. And I get 16 equals 8f. And then from here I divide both sides by 8, and I get that 2 is equal to f.